and welcome to another video. This video is a bit different since I have made a little doll slash ornament. Hope you enjoy and Merry Christmas. So some yarn colors we will be needing are black and red for his clothing. We also need white for like his Santa hat. We need the skin color. And we also need this gold color for his belt. So I will be using a 3.0mm hook even though my yarn is too thick for it because I wanted to crochet tighter to make my ornament a little smaller and use the yarn that I already have. But feel free to use whatever hook size you would like or what is appropriate for the yarn that you have. So the first thing we're going to be making is the body, and to do that we're going to start with black yarn and make a magic ring by creating a loop, sticking your hook through the loop and pulling the yarn through. And to secure it, we're going to be chaining 1. This does not count as a stitch. And here we're going to be making 6 single crochets into the ring. So to do that, we're going to stick our hook into the ring, pull through, and then pull through both loops. Once you've done your 6 single crochets, you're going to take the tail and pull it to tighten the magic ring. And you should have a little like half circle, and to make it a full circle you're going to stick your hook into the first single crochet that you made. It might be a little difficult to see because the yarn is black, but you can stick it through, pull through, and make a slip stitch. Now we have our magic ring. And now for the next round we are going to be chaining 1. At the start of each round you're going to be chaining 1, and in the very first stitch, the one that you just slip stitched into, you're going to do 1 single crochet. And then the next one you're going to be increasing, so do 2 single crochets into that same stitch, and you're going to be repeating that all the way around. So do 1 single crochet and then increase. And now once you finish and get to the end, you're going to stick your hook into the very first stitch that you made in this round, and then do a slip stitch by pulling through. Mine flipped a little bit, so I'm just going to adjust the shape. It should look like a little mini bowl. And now to start the next round, we're going to chain 1. And for this round, we're going to be doing just 1 single crochet into each of the stitches. So you should have 9 single crochets in total. But for the very last one, don't finish it and just leave 2 loops on your hook because we're going to be changing colors. So here I have 1 last stitch remaining. I'm going to stick my hook through and almost finished the single crochet, but instead of yarning over and pulling through again, I'm going to leave the 2 loops and take my red yarn and use that yarn to pull through the 2 loops. You can tug on both of the strings to keep it tight and make sure it doesn't get loose, and then stick your hook into the very first stitch of the round and pull through. It probably got a little loose, so you can tug on the red to tighten the slip stitch, and also tug on the black if you would like. And to make sure that the ends don't get loose and slip away, I'm going to be crocheting with them, and I will be showing a little bit of how to do that here. So I'm going to take the 2 of them. Well, first I'm going to chain 1, and then in the very first stitch you're going to do a single crochet, but I'm going to take those 2 strings and wrap them above my hook so that they get wrapped around by the yarn when I finish this stitch and secure it in place. And for this round you're going to be doing a single crochet into each one of the stitches again. So once you get to the very end, you're going to stick your hook into the very first stitch of the round, which might be a little difficult since it's kind of tight. But once you get it through, you're going to make a slip stitch. And now you have finished a leg. So to finish it off, we're going to take some scissors and cut it. You don't have to cut the tail very long since we're not going to be sewing or anything. You can also cut the black yarn if you haven't done so already. And for me personally, I like to use these like extra pieces of yarn to stuff the leg instead of getting some stuffing. So I'm just going to tuck all of them into the leg. And now you have your first leg, and you're going to repeat all of these steps again to make a second leg, but make sure to not finish it off. So now that you have your second leg, don't cut it. You're going to continue on from the slip stitch that you did earlier by making a chain. And then what we're going to do is do one single crochet like so. And then we're going to be chaining one for the gap between the legs, and now we're going to be connecting the two. So you're going to stick your hook into the stitch. I like to stick it into the one that we made a slip stitch in. That, and then we're going to be doing a single crochet. So the two legs should now be attached to each other. Then we're going to do 8 more single crochets all the way around, just doing 1 in each. So you should have 9 in total. So this is our second, this is our third, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then one last one, 9. So you should have 9 in total on that leg. And it might look like you need a little bit more, but that's just a slip stitch, so you can ignore it. And now to continue, we're going to stick our hook into the chain 1 that you made earlier, which might be a little difficult to spot out, but once you find it, you can stick your hook into one of the loops from the chain and do a single crochet. And then we're going to crochet onto the next leg. So we're going to not do it in the one that you already made a single crochet in, and the one next to it you're going to make a single crochet and also do 8 more. So now we have 2 on this leg already because we have 1 from the very first one that we made earlier before attaching the 2 legs. Now this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, 6, 7, 8, and then last one, 9. And now we're going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet that we made on this leg. And now we have the 2 legs attached to each other. For this next round, we will be just single crocheting 1 into every single stitch. So in total you should have 20 single crochets. So we're just going to do 1 single crochet into each of the stitches all the way around. But when you get to the very last one, don't finish the single crochet because we're going to be changing colors to black. Make sure to single crochet into the chain in the middle that you made as well. So you should do a single crochet into the chain 2 times because you're doing it once here, and then once you make it around this leg you're going to be doing it again in the chain again. So in total on each of the legs you have 9 single crochets, so that would be 18 plus the chain 1 that you did in the middle, which you're crocheting into 2 times as you go around, the whole thing, you should have 20 in total. Once you get to the very last one, you're going to leave those 2 loops on your hook instead of pulling through them, and take your black yarn and use that to pull through the 2 loops, like so. And you can tug on the string to tighten it like you did before with the leg. And now we're going to be slip stitching into the very first stitch of the round. Make sure to tug on the strings to tighten it. And you can crochet with them again if you would like to secure them in place, because personally that is my favorite way to secure the strings. Or you can just tie them together after cutting the red yarn and reattaching it later, but I prefer to crochet with it. So now for this round, we're also going to be just crocheting 1 into every single stitch all the way around, so you should have 20 again. Here I did my first single crochet, and then the next one, which might be a little hard to see because it's kind of tight, we're going to also just crochet 1 single crochet, and you're going to do that all the way around. And once you get to the very end, you're also just going to leave 2 loops on your hook and switch to the red yarn and use it to pull through. Make sure not to do it too tightly, otherwise it's going to scrunch up the 2 legs since it's still attached. So I'm tugging on it to make sure it's a little loose. And now we're going to slip stitch into the very first stitch of the row, which might be kind of hard to see since the yarn is black. Once you find it, pull through. Now you can chain 1 to begin the round again. So I'll make sure to chain 1 every single round, since we're slip stitching, to make the color changes look a little bit more cleaner. And now for this round, we're going to also be single crocheting 1 into every single stitch, except with the red yarn, you're going to be doing that for 2 rounds. So this is our first round, just crochet 1 into every single stitch, and then also crochet 1 into every single stitch for the next round. So we're just going to build up 2 rounds with this red yarn, but I'm going to be cutting the black yarn here now because it's pretty secure. And I'm going to tuck it into the leg and just single crochet all the way around, 1 in each for 2 rounds. So once you have your 2 rows done, now we're going to be decreasing. So chain 1, and for this round you're going to do 2 single crochets and then decrease. So that's 1 single crochet, and then that's the second one, and then we're going to be doing an invisible decrease, which is just grabbing the first loop, the front loop only of the stitch, and then grabbing the front loop again only for the next stitch, and then pulling through both of them, leave the 2 loops, and then pull through both of them again. So that's an invisible decrease. Now we're going to be doing another single crochet in the next stitch, that's the second single crochet, and then decrease again by grabbing the front loops only of the next 2 stitches, pulling through, and then pulling through again. So you're going to repeat that all the way around, and you should have a total of 15 stitches at the end. And once you get to the end, slip stitch in the very first stitch of the round. And now before our final round, we're going to be stuffing the body before it gets a little hard to stuff. So I'm just taking some stuffing, and I like to stuff the legs first before stuffing the rest of the body. Make sure to stuff firmly so that your doll is more firm rather than being too squishy and getting like misshapen. So I'm just going to be sticking it into the legs. You can use your hook to also shove the stuffing in later, but before that I'm going to chain 1, and now we're going to do our final row of decreasing. So we're going to do 1 single crochet and then decrease. So you're going to be repeating the pattern of doing 1 single crochet, then decreasing all the way around, and that should leave you with 10 single crochets. Once you finish, you're going to slip stitch into the very first stitch of the round for one last time. And you can take your scissors and cut it. Make sure to leave a tail that's not too short but not too long either, because we're not going to need it for stuffing. We just want to make sure it's secure and does not slip away. So we're just going to be pulling tight and also stuffing that into the body. You can finish up your stuffing here now by stuffing it more firmly. And if the hole is a little difficult to push through, which I personally find a little difficult because it's really small, I usually take my hook and I use it to stuff, like so. Once you're done stuffing, you can just kind of adjust the shape, and now we have finished the body. Now moving on to the head, we're going to be taking our skin color and make a magic ring, again by creating a loop and sticking your hook through the loop and pulling through. And then we're going to be chaining 1 to secure the ring. And from here we're going to be doing 5 single crochets into the ring. So that's 1, that's 2, tug on it a little bit to keep it tight, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to take the tail and pull on it to tighten. And then in the very first stitch that you made, we're going to stick our hook through. And do a single crochet immediately, because we're not going to be slip stitching for the head since there's no color changes required. So that's 1. And into the same stitch, oh wait, before that we're going to be marking. Since we're not going to be slip stitching, we're going to mark our very first stitch so we know where we started. So we already have 1, and in the very same stitch that you made the single crochet already in, you're going to be making another one. So you're going to be increasing for this whole round, leaving you with 10 single crochets. So do 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. Once you get to the end, you can tug on it a little bit to make it tighter if you would like, and we're going to be taking out the stitch marker, and then here we're going to do 1 single crochet, and make sure to mark it so you know where you started. And then in the next stitch you're going to be increasing. So this round's pattern is 1 single crochet and then increasing into the next, and you're going to repeat that all the way around, and you should have a total of 15 stitches. Now for this next round, we're going to be increasing a little bit differently. So you're going to single crochet, mark the stitch, and then into the next one we're going to be increasing. So do 2 in the same stitch, and then next we're going to be doing a single crochet. Into the next stitch you're going to do a single crochet, then increase, and then single crochet after that. So we're repeating a sequence of 1 single crochet, increasing, and then doing another single crochet. And the reason we're doing it this way instead of doing it 2 single crochets and then increasing is to avoid kind of a pentagonal shape and make it a little bit more circular. So repeat that sequence all the way around. So now once you get to the end, we're going to be doing our last row or round of increasing. So this time we're going to be doing 3 single crochets and then increasing. So we have our first, which we're marking, and then do 2 more, and then we're going to be increasing. So you're going to repeat 3 single crochets and then increasing all the way around. Okay, once you get to the end, we're going to take out our stitch marker, and we won't be using that as a stitch marker anymore. Instead, we're going to take the tail, or you can take another piece of spare yarn that you have and just get over like that. And then you're going to single crochet into the next stitch over it so that it's kind of embedded between your stitches, and that will be marking the start of the round. So what we're going to do for this round and the next few rounds, so we're going, right now we should have 5 rounds in total. This is our 6th. For the 6th to the 10th round, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet into each of the stitches, and that's a total of 5 rounds. So for 5 rounds you're just going to keep single crocheting all the way around. And the reason why I use this yarn is to make so that I don't have to stop and just keep crocheting all the way around and end up like this. So you can count it from the top, and once you're sure you have 5 rounds, you can take out the stitch marker, and now we will be decreasing. So I'm going to be using the pink stitch marker again, and so we're going to do 3 single crochets. First mark, so this is the second single crochet, third, and then we are going to decrease, and you're going to repeat that all the way around. For this next round we will be doing 1 single crochet, make sure to mark, decrease, and then another single crochet. So we're repeating the same sequence for the increasing that we did earlier. So you're doing 1 single crochet, decrease, and then 1 single crochet. You're just going to repeat that all the way around. Now for our last row of decreasing for the head, we're going to just do 1 single crochet, decrease, and just repeat that all the way around. So 1 single crochet and then decrease. This should leave you with a total of 10 stitches. Once you reach the end, you can stick your hook into the stitch and then make a slip stitch, and make sure to cut the tail long enough for you to sew. About that much. Even this much might be a little too much, but I'm going to play on the safe side. Pull it to tighten. Now we're going to be stuffing the head. Make sure to stuff it firmly so that the head doesn't get all misshapen and it's not too squishy. We want it to be kind of firm. So I'm using my hook to stuff since the opening is quite small. Once you're done, you can just shape it so that it's the shape that you want, perfectly round. I'm just going to add a little bit more because it's a little squishier than I would like it to be. And I'm just sticking it into the areas that I think have some gaps. Shaping it again. And now you have your finished head. So now we'll be making the mustache, and we're going to take our white yarn and make a slip knot by making a loop, sticking our hook through and pulling through, tighten it, and now we'll be making 6 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And once we've done that, I'm going to be crocheting with the string. But first I'm going to stick my hook into the stitch, take the string and wrap it above the hook so that when I yarn over and pull through, I'll be securing that yarn in place. So I'm finishing up the single crochet. Now it should kind of be in place right there and secure. And then now we're going to be doing a half double crochet into the next stitch. So into the next chain that you spot out there, stick your hook into the loop and do a half double crochet. And then now into the third one, we're just going to be making a simple slip knot. And now we're going to do a half double crochet into the next chain and then finish up with a single crochet. I'm going to tug on this string just so it's not sticking out like that. And then we're going to make a slip stitch so that we can finish it off. Now we have our mustache. So I'm not going to be cutting this string very long because I'm not going to be sewing it. I prefer to glue it. It might be a little bit more difficult, but I do prefer it this way because I think it gives it a bit of a cleaner finish if you do it well. But that is really your choice. You can sew it on or you can glue. So now we have our mustache. Now moving on to the beard, we will be starting off the same way by making a slip knot. And now we will be chaining 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And now we're going to be repeating a sequence of single crocheting 1 and then chaining. So we're going to stick our hook into the second chain from the hook and make a single crochet, chain 1, and into the next chain, make a single crochet, chain 1, and you're going to do that all the way to the end of the chains you made. But near the end, when I get close enough, I'm going to be doing the same thing I did with the mustache, where I take that little dangling piece of yarn at the end and I'm going to crochet with it so that I can secure it in place without having to take a needle and weave it in. Now once you get to the end, you have your beard, and so we're going to finish off with a slip stitch. And for this one, I'm also not going to be cutting it very long because I will tuck it behind it and glue it in place in a way that makes the strings not visible, but you can sew it if you would like. Now we have our finished beard. I'm just going to cut off this little piece that I crocheted with since it's already secured in place. Now we have our little beard. So now with the arm, we're going to be making a magic ring with the skin color. And then into the magic ring, we will be doing 6 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Pull to tighten, and now into the very first stitch. Might be a little difficult to stick it through. Wiggle it in there. Okay, there we go. And now we will be slip stitching. And then since we're going to chain 1, since we're going to be changing colors. So right now we will just work with this yarn color. Going to first single crochet and then increase into the next one. So you're going to repeat that pattern, single crochet, increase all the way around, and you should have a total of 9 stitches. But for the very last stitch, you're not going to want to finish it. Leave 2 loops on your hook. Don't finish the single crochet all the way because we're going to be changing colors. Okay, now that you get to the very last single crochet, you're going to take the red yarn and then we're going to finish off the single crochet with the red yarn instead. So pull through, pull to tighten them, and then we're going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round. Okay, now just pull to tighten them a little bit more. We're going to chain 1, and then into the stitch we're going to do 1 single crochet, but I'm going to be crocheting with the strings so I can secure them in place. And now from here you're going to do 4 rounds, so rounds 3 to 6, you're just going to do 1 single crochet into each of the stitches. So do that for the for 4 rounds and with the same colored yarn. Once you've done all the 4 rows of red, you now have your finished arm. You don't really have to stuff it because I feel that stuffing it might make it look a little bit too bulky. So I'm not going to personally be stuffing it, but you can if you want to. Leave enough tail for sewing. Just pull through, tighten, and now you will just repeat this process for 1 more arm. Now for the last component, which is the hat, we're going to take our white yarn and make a slip knot and tighten, and we will be chaining 28, but you can really chain any even number. Make sure to wrap it around your Santa's head a couple times to make sure it fits well around his head. It can't be too small or too big because that will ruin our cute little Santa's look. here I'm just trying to wrap it around to make sure it fits. There needs to be a little extra room since you're going to be skipping one chain when single crocheting back. So now we're going to be sticking our hook into the very first chain that you made and then making a slip stitch. I'm going to be crocheting with this tail, but first make a slip stitch so we can connect the two ends and make a circle for the base of the hat. Now we're going to be chaining 1, and from here we're going to do 1 single crochet into each of the chains, and you should have a total of 28 by the end. Once you've gotten to the end, you're going to take your red yarn, so don't finish off that last single crochet, and then use the red yarn to pull through both loops. Stick your hook into the very first single crochet that you made, and then make a slip knot. Now for this part where I'm going to cut the string. Oh wait, not the red one. Oops. So we're going to be cutting the white one, and I'm just going to crochet with it short like that because it is a little bothersome and we won't be using it anymore. We're just going to be crocheting with red all the way. Now we're going to chain 1 for the next round, and I'm going to be crocheting with these ends to secure them in place. And for this round we will be crocheting 1 into every single stitch, and you will do that for 3 rounds. So from rounds 2 to 4 you've already done 1. This is your second round. You will be doing 1 single crochet into each of the stitches, so you should have 28. Once you finish and get back to the end, you're going to stick your hook into the very first stitch and make a slip stitch. And now we will begin some decreasing to get a pointy looking hat. So chain 1, and for this round we will be single crocheting 5 and then decreasing. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And now we will be doing an invisible decrease. So grab the front loops, pull through, and then pull through again. So you're going to repeat that all the way around, and it should leave you with 24 stitches. Now I'm back. We're going to be slip stitching again, and then chain 1. For this round we're going to be doing 2 single crochets, decreasing, and then 2 single crochets again. So I've done 2 here. Now decrease, and then do 2 single crochets. Again, do 2 single crochets, decrease, and then do 2 single crochets. At the end of this row you should have 20 stitches. Then I'm back, again slip stitch, and then chain 1 to start the next round. And then for this round we're just going to be doing 1 single crochet into each of the stitches all the way around. So you should still have 20 stitches after this. Okay, now for the next round we will be doing 3 single crochets and then decreasing. So make sure to chain 1 at the beginning of each round. So now we're going to do 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to decrease, and you're going to repeat that all the way around. You should have 16. Now for this round and the round after this, so round 9 through 10, for 2 rounds you're going to be just doing 1 single crochet into each of the stitches, so you should still have 16 stitches by the end of this. And now I'm back. We're going to slip stitch into the first stitch and then chain 1, and then now we're going to do 1 single crochet, decrease, and then do 1 single crochet again. Do 1 single crochet, decrease, and then do 1 single crochet. At the end of this round you should have 12 stitches remaining. And now we're going to slip stitch, chain 1. For this round we're going to be just doing a single crochet into every single stitch, so you should have 12 stitches at the end of this. Now once you get to the end, slip stitch into the very first stitch and chain 1, and we're going to now do a round of decreasing, so single crochet, decrease. So you're going to be repeating single crochet, decrease all the way around, and that should leave you with 8 stitches. Now for the very last round, we're going to be just decreasing all the way around, and that should leave you with 4. So what I like to do is fold it so that it's easier for me to grab the stitches. And now we have our finished hat, and we've already slip stitched, so we're going to cut the yarn just enough to sew it a little closed and hide the yarn. And our hat is done. You can add a little white pom-pom at the end. Now you can take a knitting needle and stitch all the parts together and glue the ones that need to be glued. For the belt buckle, take some yellow gold yarn and stitch in the shape of a square on the black part on the body, and you're done.